What's up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you on Tuesday evening. We have our picks against the spread for week number 9 of the college football season. This is the weekend of October the 30th. Got 40 games on the slate to do tonight, so let's get into them. Last week on the Carolina Jackpot, picks against the spread, a 14-19 record against the number. Not real great, but not the absolute disaster that it could have been. So let's get into these and see if we can do better this week. On Thursday night's action, we have Troy, the Trojans, at 4-3 on the year, going on the road, taking on the number 24 Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. The Chants are laying 18.5 at home in Conway. In this one, Troy at 4-3 has had some not very impressive wins of late, having to rely on a pick six to beat Texas State the other week, just barely scraping by. Some other not so great teams lost to UL Monroe, which has turned out not to be a terrible team, as we'll get to in just a minute. But I think the Chanticleers, coming off of a loss last Wednesday night in Boone against App State, are going to come into this game angry and focused, and will get back to their winning and covering ways. Troy, I just don't think is very good. Give me Coastal Carolina to cover that 18.5. South Florida going on the road, taking on East Carolina. East Carolina laying 9.5 points at home. South Florida got a win last week against Temple. East Carolina losers in overtime against Houston. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I think both teams will put a lot of points up on the scoreboard here. I think you could see a game in the high 30s, low 40s on both sides. In the end, I do think that East Carolina is going to win the football game, but I look for South Florida to cover. Jeff Scott's team, probably about a one-touchdown loss, about a 7-point loss. If I had to put this one gun to head, I would say South Florida covers the number here. They have been playing better recently, so give me the Bulls to cover this one in Greenville. Navy on the road, taking on Tulsa. Tulsa is an 11-point favorite at home. Both these teams decent defensively. Navy with a pretty good effort Saturday against Cincinnati. Lost that game. It was only 27-20. Very surprising there that Cincinnati didn't blow them out as they've blown everyone else out of the water. The key thing here, though, I think Tulsa just is a better team offensively than what Navy has, and they're also coming off of a lot of rest here. They haven't played since last Saturday. Navy, on the other hand, on a short week, having to turn around from that matchup against Cincinnati, which, I mean, they played well, but that will take it out of you. Now they got to travel to Tulsa for a Friday night matchup. Just not a great spot for Navy. Going ahead and take the Golden Hurricanes here to cover that 11 points there. I think they win this one fairly easily. UNLV going on the road, taking on Nevada. Nevada is laying 20.5 at home. Nevada, a team we know is going to air it out a lot with Carson Strong at quarterback. UNLV's actually covered 3 of their last 4 numbers. Failed to cover the number last Friday night, and lost a disappointing game to San Jose State, which they had every chance to win. They let San Jose come back and win that game. They're 0-7 right now. At what point does a team kind of just start giving up a little bit, kind of start fighting, or stop fighting, excuse me? Nevada at 5-2, looking to make a push here to get into a decent bowl game. I kind of think this is where the covering stuff kind of starts running out for UNLV. I don't think this is a good matchup for them, and I'm going to take Nevada here to cover that 20.5 at home against the running Rebels. They'll be running for their life. Cincinnati on the road at Tulane. Tulane is laying 24.5 at home. Tulane did not look good defensively in their last game out. What was that, last Thursday night against SMU? Here, I had talked about Cincinnati and covering spreads, and I said that Cincinnati was a bet on the rest of the year. This was several weeks ago because of an undefeated record, because of style points. And they just came out in a flat spot against Navy. I don't know what happened there. That was just a weird matchup. It was the same time as that weird Kansas Oklahoma matchup. That was just way, way, way closer than anyone have ever thought that would be. But I want to take Cincinnati here. I think they come out angry and focused too, I think, and they take it out on Tulane. We've already seen Tulane give up a bunch of points this year, 1-7. They're just having a terrible season. They're 1-6, excuse me. They'll be 1-7 after this one. Going ahead and take Cincinnati here in the noon game on Saturday in New Orleans. I think they roll it up. Michigan on the road at Michigan State. Michigan State is catching 4.5 at home against the rival team from Ann Arbor. This one just a tough matchup, man. It's a tough matchup to figure. Both these teams they have similar styles. Both of them have a pretty good running back. Michigan State with Kenneth Walker, really good guy. He kind of came out of nowhere this year. Michigan, actually runs the ball, actually runs for more yards per game than Michigan State does, though. And I just looking at the schedule, looking at similar matchups, similar teams that they've played, and you can't always use this, what do you call it? This, I don't know, it's late. The transitive property, that's what it is in college football. But looking at those matchups, I mean, both of them, they both have had similar scores against similar things. Both of them played Northwestern. Michigan State gave up a lot more points to Northwestern than Michigan did. They both played a close game with Nebraska. I mean, just it's crazy. But I'm going to lean to the side of Michigan here. I just think Michigan is just a better team. I think they're power rated higher, and for some reason, I think that the Michigan State is not really the magic runs out. I just think they're going to run up against a team that's better. I think this is the best Michigan team that we've seen in years. But looking at this line, though, this is going to be a really, really tight ball game. You know what? I'm going to go on ahead, and I'm going to take Michigan State to cover that 4.5. But I think that we will see Michigan win, even if it's by a point or 3 points. A 3-point win is more likely. We've seen Michigan with a 3-point win already this year. Going ahead and take that, but I'm still going to take Michigan State to cover that line. I think 4.5 is just a little bit too much. Iowa on the road at Wisconsin. Wisconsin is laying 3 at home against the Iowa Hawkeyes. And this is, I don't know, are we looking at this one? Iowa's had a week off. They went out when they ranked number 2 in the country and lost to Purdue 24-7 at home. But we've seen Purdue do this in the past. Purdue has thrown a monkey wrench into a lot of team seasons, so they tumbled all the way down to number 9 this week, and they're actually underdogs on the road at a 4-3 Wisconsin team. Which, granted, I mean they're only giving up like 119 yards excuse me, they're giving up 1.9 yards per carry. I don't know what I'm looking at there. But Iowa is a team. Iowa has 15 interceptions this year. Crazy. 2 of them they returned back for pick sixes against Indiana. I think Iowa's the better team here. I think that's the side to be on. I think this 3-point Wisconsin line at home is just an overreaction to Iowa losing the game to Purdue last week or the week before last. I do think that Iowa comes out here and gets back to their winning ways against Wisconsin. So going ahead and give me the Hawkeyes there to cover. We've got Texas on the road at Baylor. Baylor is laying 3 points at home. Baylor is so improved over what they were at this point last year. They are 6-1 coming into this game, ranked number 16 in the country, only giving up 333 yards per game. Texas has lost 2 games in a row. Of course, they had to. Both these teams are coming off a bye week. Lost to Oklahoma, which was a crazy game, and then followed that up at home with a loss the next week to Oklahoma's rivals, Oklahoma State. I think that Texas gets it going a little bit here. I think Bijan Robinson is able to get to do a little bit here against Baylor. Still, with a stingy defense, but I do think that Texas is able to pull off what's a mild upset here. But this is Big 12 football, so really nothing to me is considered an upset. But this just looks like a Big 12 spot where you would see the underdog cover and win the game outright. So go on ahead, give me Texas on the road at Baylor to win this one. Miami on the road at Pitt. Pitt is laying 9 at home against Miami. Miami comes into this game at 3-4. Last week I predicted this one correctly, that they would knock off NC State. And that was probably my boy, you sure nailed it, pick of the week, because they a lot of people probably expecting that one, but they did. NC State always just manages to shit the bed at some point when they're doing really good. Here we got Pitt's putting up 45 points a game, only giving up less than 20 points per game, over 500 yards of offense. But Miami's got a decent offense themselves. They're putting up about 433 yards a game, but they're also allowing a whole lot more than what Pitt is. There's been some talk here about Manny Diaz possibly being on the hot seat. They're possibly trying to get rid of him. I can't say that might not hold some water. Miami's one of those that's not going to let you stay around too long if you're not as successful as they would like, whether you're one of their own or not. But I think some of the injuries, they've had some injuries. They've had some issues down there. I think it finally starts to catch up with them here. They had that nice win at home against NC State, but they got to turn around and play a very tough Pitt team that kind of came out of nowhere this year. Pitt 6-1 against the spread this year, along with being 6-1 straight up. I'm going to go ahead and roll with the Panthers here to cover at home. Virginia Tech on the road at Georgia Tech. Virginia Tech's lost 4 out of their last 5 games. After that first game against NC State, we're like, man, this is going to be the surprise team of the year. They knocked off UNC there at home. Boy, they have really just fallen apart. Georgia Tech also comes into this game with a 3-4 record, but their body of work to me for Georgia Tech has just been really impressive. The game against Virginia last weekend, they were down big at the end of that game. They never quit, recovered a couple of onside kicks there. They just ran out of time. They could have tied that thing up. I think they get the win here at home against Virginia Tech, and I take the Yellow Jackets to to cover in this matchup. I think Justin Fuente is another one that's spiraling down the drain, and Virginia Tech's another team. Took a loss to Syracuse at home last week, in which they were up on Syracuse late in that ball game, gave up a couple of touchdowns at the end of it. Just not a very good showing there by Virginia Tech. Looks like they may have kind of quit. Give me Georgia Tech here. Rutgers on the road at Illinois. Illinois is a 1.5 point favorite at home, I believe. Let me double check this one. No, they're not. They're actually catching 1.5 at home. Excuse me, I wrote that one down incorrectly. I'm sorry. No, this is a riveting matchup everyone's interested in. Illinois with the huge upset 2018 on the road in like 9 overtimes against Penn State last Saturday. Here, I think they come back to earth a little bit. This is one of those classic spots where you just kind of crash back to reality after a big upset win. I still think Rutgers here is the better team with the better head coach. So give me Rutgers on the road at Illinois to cover that 1.5 point spread. Indiana on the road taking on Maryland. Maryland is catching 5 or laying 5.5 at home. I don't like to lay points with Maryland. Hadn't been a very good cover team this year. But Indiana is just, they're really sputtering right now. 2-5. They absolutely got housed last weekend by Ohio State. They're sitting here, we're 1-6 against the number, and I don't think that they cover it here against Maryland. I think there's just a little bit too much offense here from the boys with the weird-looking helmets at home. So give me Maryland to cover here against Indiana with 5.5. UCF on the road at Temple. Temple is catching 10.5 at home. I keep writing these down incorrectly. Temple's a 10.5 point underdog at home against UCF. Going ahead, roll with UCF here in this situation. Iowa State on the road at West Virginia. West Virginia is catching 7 at home against Virginia Tech. And, Iowa State, decent team defensively. Been a little bit of a disappointment this year. West Virginia got a big win on the road last week, right, against TCU. So here they return home to take on Iowa State, and they're just not. West Virginia is just not a team that I trust. They really are not. I don't trust them to come out here and be able to win 2 in a row. However, 7 is just a little bit too much to me for Iowa State to go on the road and cover against West Virginia, especially the way they've been playing this year. Going ahead and take the couch-burning Mountaineers to cover that 7. I think Iowa State probably wins this game by the neighborhood of 3 to 4 points. We have Mizzou going on the road, taking on Vandy. Vandy is catching 16 points at home against Mizzou. Missouri's going to get theirs. They're going to score some points against whoever they're playing. And, they'll give up a lot of points too. Vanderbilt, though, they're not giving up a lot of points to Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt is just a horrible team offensively. They average around 291 yards a game, less than 100 yards a game on the ground. And Missouri's rush defense is terrible. I just don't think that Vanderbilt's going to be able to exploit that. A home game, if at any point you would pick Vandy to cover a spread, it would be against these guys. But after the performance that they put up last week against Mike Leach's crew, I just don't. I don't see that working out for them here. Oh my goodness, sorry. Give me Missouri to cover the spread there. I blacked out Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt covers spread against the Gamecocks. That's about the only ones they're covered against. I think Mizzou covers that one and wins this game comfortably. Connor Bazelak has himself a nice bounce back game. He's kind of had a rough year. Out there at Mizzou. I think he atones for it just a little bit here against, albeit a terrible Vanderbilt team. Washington State going on the road, taking on Arizona State. Arizona State is laying 15 at home against Washington State. I do like Arizona State here. Jaden Daniels and crew to win this game, but I like Washington State to cover. Last week we saw them go out and cover against BYU. BYU narrowly with like a 21-19 win over Washington State, who head coach Rolovich the previous Tuesday had gotten fired, refused to take the COVID-19 vaccination. And here, Arizona State, another tough out on the road, but I like Washington State here to cover this number and keep it a little bit closer than that. We got Georgia and Florida. Florida is catching 14 here against the Georgia Bulldogs in the world's largest cocktail party game. I think Florida's the home team this year. I was thinking about going with Florida here just because this is a rivalry game, and I'm like, looking at Florida and maybe the week before last performance against LSU, which I lost 49-42, gave up a ton of rushing yards to LSU. I said maybe that's a bit of an outlier. They lost to Kentucky 2013, but they had a field goal block for a touchdown and then I just like maybe maybe this is the team that beat Tennessee by 24 points at home. Maybe, this is the team that almost knocked off Alabama. And then I just got to thinking that Georgia defense is so good. And they are getting back some of their players that they've been missing offensively for weeks, months at a time. I mean, but the thing about that is it really hasn't affected them. Really hasn't affected them at all. I mean, outside of, the last game against Kentucky, which, it kind of gave them a game for a half, I guess you'd say. They really haven't missed a beat. Florida, I think maybe Florida can hit a couple of big plays against Georgia. Georgia, I mean, they got some quarterbacks down there, and Emory Jones, who can run the ball, Anthony Richardson, who can throw it a little bit better than he runs it, but he can still run the ball too. They may be able to hit some decent big plays against Georgia, but in the end, Georgia lost this game last year, and pretty much dominated by Florida. And I think that Kirby Smart, if given a chance here, I think he'll run it up. So I'm going to take Georgia to cover that 14 here against Florida. I think this is a 3-score win at minimum for the Bulldogs. And the number one team in the country just keeps rolling right along. Texas Tech goes on the road, taking on Oklahoma. Oklahoma is laying 20 at home. Oklahoma last week, man, I'm telling you, they decided to start playing at the right time. They were losing 10-0 at the half against Kansas. Still were trailing into the fourth quarter, and then suddenly were able to start putting some things together offensively. Were able to make enough plays, stop the Jayhawks when they had to, and they won that game. What was it, 35-23, I think. But just a very embarrassing showing there by Oklahoma. You got to think here that they would come out focused, you would think, and lay it on Texas Tech, a team that pretty much traditionally does not have a good defense, and they've shown us this year that they don't. Gave up 70 points to Texas. Texas, a team similar style to Oklahoma. But you look at this one because Texas Tech fired their coach yesterday, old Matt Wells, the guy that came from Utah State not even been there but about 3 years. They let him go. He's going to be placed in the interim by Sonny Cumbie, who was a quarterback there for Mike Leach back in the early 2000s. And we've just seen this stuff right here happen many, many times before, where a team who has a coach that gets fired goes out and actually plays, outside of their minds. Not necessarily, winning, but they'll cover against a team that you wouldn't expect them to be covering against. I'm going to take Texas Tech here. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to take Texas Tech to cover against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's not exactly been a covering machine this year themselves. And I think this is a classic spot where you could see the underdog make another run here at a team that it just seems like they're just every week just skating by the skin of their teeth. Colorado on the road at Oregon. Oregon is laying 24 at home against Colorado. Oregon, a one-loss team, but it's not like they've been out here just blowing teams out. Colorado, though, is just a terrible team offensively. But you look at this one for Oregon and say, is this a possible trap game? And not necessarily a trap game that they would lose, but a trap game where you really just don't have a good performance. It's a tough team to get up for. It's a bad offensive team you're playing. Just one of those wet farts. Colorado's got an important stretch of games coming up in these next 4. They got 3 out of their next 4 games against the teams from the Pac-12 North, and it's just 24 points with the way they've been playing this year is an awful lot for me to take them to cover. But Colorado has just looked so, I don't know, they've looked so bad recently that I just got to go on ahead and take Oregon to cover this 24 here. I mean, Colorado lost 26-3 to Cal this past weekend as 8-point chalk. That's not good. So let me go on ahead and take Oregon here. Louisiana Tech going on the road, taking on Old Dominion. Old Dominion didn't play last week. 2 weeks ago, they faced the high-powered Western Kentucky team with their quarterback, Bailey Zapp, who is only averaging about 450 yards passing a game. And they trailed 30-3 at the half. This one was at home as well. And Louisiana Tech, while not quite, I would think, as powerful as Western Kentucky on the passing side of the ball, still a formidable team offensively. They had a bad showing last Saturday against UT San Antonio, but that's a team that's kind of special. They're having a special season. So I think Louisiana Tech goes on the road here and takes out their frustrations a little bit on Old Dominion, and I think they roll it up on them in this ball game. Going ahead, give me Louisiana Tech to cover that 5.5 against the ODU Monarchs, and I'm going to call this one my lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels pick of the week. It's not bet the farm on it, okay? Because Carolina Jackpots never bet the farm confident on any of my picks. But I definitely say lay $10 on it. Louisiana Tech covers against Old Dominion. Southern Miss on the road at Middle Tennessee. Middle 13.5-point favorites at home. Going ahead and roll with Middle in that one. Southern Miss is hideous. Boston College on the road at Syracuse. Syracuse is laying 6 at home against BC. How long has it been since Syracuse has been favored in an ACC game? It has to have been, at least probably 2019, because 2018 they were really good, and everybody thought in 2019 that they were going to, they won like 10 games in 2018. Everybody thought they were going to have a repeat of 2018, and it didn't happen. So I'm pretty sure in some of those early games they may have been favored. But at any rate, Boston College coming off of a 28-14 loss against Louisville. Kind of unimpressive there. Syracuse, that 41-36 win at Virginia Tech this past Saturday, I think that was a confidence builder. I think it was a confidence builder, and that's the kind of game that that you can take into a game against a team that you're favored against, and you should be able to ride that to another decent performance here. I think Boston College gives up plenty of rushing yards here to Sean Tucker. I think Garrett Schrader and the crew does what they need to do here, and I think Syracuse gets their second ACC win in a row. And I think they cover that 6 against Boston College. And I'm going out on a limb on that one, too, because those two have traditionally played really close games. But I think Syracuse offensively is finally starting to find some kind of rhythm, and that they're pretty decent. And Boston College has just been kind of a huge disappointment, to be honest with you. Purdue on the road at Nebraska. Nebraska, 4 losses this year by a total of 17 points. Okay, on the outlier, they were able to win 56-7 versus Northwestern. Okay, when they put it all together, we saw Purdue 2 weeks ago go out with a 24-7 win at Iowa. I mean, doesn't matter if it was a kind of an outlier game. It was still very impressive, putting 24 points up against an Iowa defense that hadn't been allowing anywhere near that all year long. Kind of came back to reality last week a little bit. I think a lot of people had them favored against Wisconsin. Me too. I got that one wrong. A lot of us overreacted to the win over Iowa. But when David Bell is healthy and playing for Purdue, it's just a different team offensively. I do think Nebraska is the better team here, and I do think that the Huskers and Adrian Martinez and crew get the win here. But 7.5 is too many points for Nebraska, because other than that outlier game, all of their games have been within 3-4 points this year. So let me go on ahead and take there was that Illinois thing that they lost to. Anyway, let me go on ahead and take Purdue to cover here against Nebraska. Florida State on the road at Clemson. Clemson is a 10-point favorite at home against Florida State. Florida State's won 3 games in a row. Now 59-3, I think, against UMass this past Saturday. Yeah, I know it was just UMass, but I mean, all Florida State could do was go out there and dominate them. They did dominate them. It was kind of close in the first quarter, but they just absolutely obliterated them. Clemson is 0-7, I think, against the spread. They're 0-7 against the spread. They didn't even cover against FCS South Carolina State this year. And I'm not going to take them to cover again here either. They're actually down another running back. If you can believe it or not, this team they're getting hit hard with injuries. Their running back Kobe Pace was kind of splitting some time with Will Shiflett. He's out. Looks like he's got COVID, apparently. So it looks like we're going to be down to Shiflett and the freshman Phil Maffa. If Maffa's even still playing, I don't know. I haven't heard from him lately, but they are really just struggling here. On the offensive side of the football, DJ Uiagalelei looked a little better against Pittsburgh, I guess, at times. But, just not playing good. Florida State, I think they realized this may be their chance to catch Clemson and put a loss on them because Florida State owned this conference, absolutely owned it. For like 20 years, over 20 years, and haven't been the same ever since 2015, when Clemson started their rise to elite level, national prominence. And Florida State's had to kind of took a back seat, and they've slipped backwards themselves. The only thing I don't like about Florida State is they're giving up over 400 yards a game, 230 yards a game on the ground. Like I say, this Clemson offense is just not very good. I don't know whether they're going to be able to capitalize on it or not. I'm taking Florida State to cover. I'm taking them to cover just based on the fact that Clemson hasn't covered all year long. And I don't know that they do it here. UL Monroe on the road at App State. You believe UL Monroe was 4-3? They didn't win a game last year. They've beaten Troy, and last week got a 41-31 win at home against Jake Bentley and South Alabama. So Terry Bowden and Rich Rod is Rich Rod, former Michigan coach, former West Virginia coach, former assistant at Clemson. The offensive coordinator at UL Monroe. So those some higher level coaches who might be kind of past their prime a little bit, doing good things with the Warhawks down in Monroe, Louisiana. This is kind of a classic flat spot, I would think, for a team like App State, who not the greatest record that they've ever had. What are they? They're coming in here. Well, they're 5-2. There have been points in the time of this part of the season where they're still undefeated. And they're coming off of a big win last Wednesday night against Coastal Carolina. Huge win. One of the biggest they've had in years. Knocking off a ranked team. Here, a class in UL Monroe, though, my only trepidation here in this game is they've either been covering and winning these games, or they've been sitting here and they've been getting housed. I mean, they knocked off Liberty. That was the other one I was trying to. They've knocked off South Alabama. They lost to Georgia State 55-21. They lost to Coastal Carolina 59-6. They barely beat Deion Sanders' team, which is an FCS school, 12-7. And then they played Kentucky. They lost 45-10, but they were able to hang in there. It's been a few weeks, though, since they've really took some lumps here. And I think they're just going to go on the road and they'll put up a decent showing here, a decent fight. I'm going to take UL Monroe to cover the spread against App State. I think that's a little bit too big for a team that's coming off such a huge victory as the Mountaineers did. Duke on the road at Wake Forest. Wake Forest is laying 16.5 at home in Winston-Salem against the Duke Blue Devils. Duke is a team with running back Mateo Durant who can move the ball on the ground. Wake's given up 210 yards a game rushing the ball. Now that was boosted up a little bit by the 400 plus they gave up to Army last week and 300 plus to Syracuse. But you got to think here. I mean, could this be a flat spot for Wake Forest to come out in, because that was a track meet with Army. If you didn't see that one last week at noon, I mean, you owe it to yourself. You should go back and YouTube that thing and watch it. I think the over-under in that thing was like 54, and both teams covered the over by themselves. Just a crazy game there that those two put, especially from Army, to put that many points up on the board. Duke absolutely got housed. Their last time out against Virginia, lost 48-0. Kind of unexplainable here. It looks like some of the better teams in the Coastal that they've been playing, like your North Carolinas and Virginias, they have a hard time putting points up on the board. I have just a sneaky suspicion here about this one that Wake comes out a little bit flat and really just doesn't give Duke a lot of respect here. That Duke is able to run the ball and move it against Wake. I don't think they win, but I think they will keep it closer than that 16.5 point margin. Go with the Blue Devils. Got Ole Miss going on the road against Auburn. Auburn's only allowing 19.7 points a game. They're off of a bye week. Ole Miss as a team defensively kind of has some problems with stopping mobile quarterbacks. I know Bo Nix is not. I don't know. Guy gets a bad rap. He really does. I mean, I don't think that he's lived up to the potential of what he could be or what people thought he was going to be when he came in back in 2019. But I think he still can make some plays with his legs. And, Auburn defensively, I think will do enough to neutralize that Ole Miss attack there. And run the ball okay themselves with Tank Bigsby and his running mate back there in the backfield. So I'm going to take Auburn here at home to cover that 3 points against Ole Miss, which, I mean, I just got to go with the pick I got to go with here. Auburn is not one of the teams in the SEC I particularly like. They have former Gamecock offensive coordinator Mike Bobo, guy that kind of took the offensive coordinator position at South Carolina after Shane Beamer was hired. He was the offensive coordinator last year, and then just kind of left us high and dry, bolted to go to Auburn, which I mean, a lot of us kind of thought was bullshit, but it is what it is. And they're doing fairly well. They're at 5-2 right now, kind of like in a tie for first place in the SEC West down there. I think they get the win against Ole Miss on Saturday night. Put your popcorn and your golf balls up. Kentucky on the road at Mississippi State. Mississippi State is catching 1.5 at home against Kentucky. Kentucky's off of a bye week. Mississippi State might as well be off a bye week. They absolutely destroyed Vanderbilt last Saturday. They showed my Gamecocks this is how you beat Vanderbilt. Which I think it's 45-6 in Nashville. Here, I think Mississippi State's one of these teams that's going to bring a little bit of a different dynamic against Kentucky. Is going to be able to throw the ball around a little bit here. I think Kentucky might have some problems with stopping them. Kentucky was really up for that Georgia game. They really, really were. They only gave up 30 points to Georgia, so I guess they got a try-hard award, whatever you call it. But the thing I can't get over about this game, and Kentucky beat them pretty convincingly last year, but to me, Mississippi State is much improved. Record-wise, it might not show it, but I think they're much improved over what they were last year. Kentucky hasn't won in Starkville since 2008. Since 2008. I have respect for Mark Stoops and what he's done at Kentucky. I'm sorry, this is not an 11-1 football team. They're just not that good. And Saturday night, that will bear that out. I'm taking Mississippi State to cover the 1.5 there. I think they get to win outright in Starkville against Kentucky. And if I could, I'd make that another lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels as well. I'm that confident in that one. Kansas going on the road, taking on Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's a 30.5 point favorite against the Jayhawks, who, man, everybody in the world just wishes they were just able to put together, I don't know, 60 minutes of football instead of 52 or whatever they put together last Saturday against Oklahoma. That was outstanding. Can they do it again? Can they cover another spread? This one on the road at Oklahoma State? I don't think so. I don't think they can. This place is going to be rocking. Oklahoma State. I looked. That's why I look at stats or whatever, and it says the tickets from this game are available are like $70 starting at. So that tells me they're going to have a sellout crowd here, and I just don't think Kansas is built for going on the road into this is a pretty hostile environment to have to play in, and I think that they may come out a little bit spent after that performance last Saturday. So I'm taking Oklahoma State at home to cover the 30.5 against the Jayhawks, and things kind of go back to normal. Got SMU going on the road, taking on Houston. Houston is a 1-point favorite here at home. And Houston defensively is a much better team than SMU. I think another one of the unbeatens falls. SMU was 7-0 right now coming in. Houston 6-1. This is a home spot for Houston, a rivalry game. I think Houston gets the win here. Going ahead and give me the Cougars to cover that one there. I think they beat SMU outright. Yeah, they beat them outright anyway. They were a favorite anyway. They cover against SMU. Oregon State going on the road taking on Cal. Cal is a 1.5-point underdog at home against Oregon State. This is one of those strange lines there that you really don't know a lot about. Oregon State with a pretty impressive win last week at home against Utah, one of the better teams out of the Pac-12 South. And Cal had a 26-3 win at home against Oregon. They were able to do some things offensively that we haven't seen them do. So this one, I can't really figure out that short line there. Maybe they're just thinking Oregon State comes into this game kind of flat off of that win. I'm not really sure on that one, but I'm going to go on ahead and take Oregon State, the Beeve here. I think they get that win pretty easily there. Oregon State's a 5-2 team. Cal is 2-5. Yeah, this is one of those little spots right there where Vegas knows something that you don't. Vegas knows something here that you don't. I don't know. I'm gonna mess with Vegas. Okay, I'm gonna take their bait. They're gonna take me hook, line, and sinker. Watch California win by 30. But I'm taking Oregon State to cover here. Arizona on the road at USC. The Trojans. Coaching search heating up, isn't it? Rumors flying everywhere. Who's it going to be? It's going to be James Franklin. Who they going to get? 21. Is it going to be Lane Kiffin again? 21-point favorites at home against Arizona. This is another one. For me, this is another easy one. I'm taking Arizona to cover. Arizona hadn't won a damn game all year long. They're 0-7. USC, those 3-4. They're not very impressive either. And Arizona is just one of these teams. They've gotten housed a few times this year, but they don't quit. They played well against Washington last week. They were up 16-7. Just kind of couldn't finish the deal. Gave up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and lost that thing 21-16. But you got to admire a team that continues to fight on even when there's no hope of a bowl game. There's no hope of a winning season, and they continue to just come out there and play hard every week. But again, Arizona here to cover against USC. Got Penn State going on the road taking on Ohio State. Ohio State is laying 18.5 against Penn State at home. This quarterback for Ohio State, C.J. Stroud, he's looked great the past few weeks, but he really has not had a lot of pressure put on him. When it faces a team like Penn State with a defensive line, with some linebackers that actually can press you a little bit, he's not as effective. And I think Penn State's probably getting overlooked a little bit here because of that debacle against Illinois at home last week. The 2018 9 or 10 overtime, whatever loss it was to Illinois. Quarterback Sean Clifford had an injury and continued to play through that injury. This wasn't really that effective in that game. This is one of those spots here, though, where I could see them coming in, playing focused and angry, like some other teams I talked about earlier. I still think Penn State's a very talented team. I think they're a good team. And I think that this is one that's going to give Ohio State the best test they've had since the Oregon game. So going ahead and lay the points here with those old Nittany Lions, taking them on the road against Ohio State. Not, I don't know. Ohio State really has been putting some numbers up offensively. Not a pick I feel great about. It's just something I have a sneaky feeling about, that they're going to keep that one closer than they would like. UNC on the road at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is laying 3.5 at home. This is another one that I don't think that this line is large enough. If I had to have another one, that'd be another lock, stock, and smoking barrels one that I would take. I would roll with this one. Notre Dame, I think along both lines of scrimmage is superior to North Carolina. I think they have a better running game as well. And once they get settled in, I think they're just going to run the ball and grind it out. And I'm going to take them here to cover against UNC at home. This is one of those primetime spots on NBC / the Peacock Network. And I think Notre Dame will show up here and win this game fairly convincingly against a North Carolina team that's been a huge disappointment this year, to put it mildly. Louisville going on the road, taking on NC State. NC State 6.5-point favorite at home at 5-2 against the 4-3 Louisville Cardinals. Louisville. I think the NC State's defense will kind of shut Louisville down a little bit. This is going to be Dave Doran's going to lay into this team this week. That's what good coaches do. They get their team ready after a disappointing loss. I think it will come back here at home against Louisville, and I think they get this win in fairly impressive fashion. I'm going ahead and take NC State to cover there. Got Virginia, the Cavaliers, going on the road, taking on BYU. This is Coach Bronco Mendenhall. This is where he was coach at for years and years before he came to Virginia. And BYU is laying 2.5 at home. They've played some really good football this year. They've beaten a plethora of teams from the from the Pac-12 South, as well as Washington State from the Pac-12 North. They're currently ranked number 25. Well, with their losses, which actually came to Baylor, and the one at home against Boise State, that was kind of a disappointing loss there. With the Baylor one, maybe you could argue that one was expected. But my thing here with Virginia is this is a team that's given up about 200 yards a game on the ground. And with running back Tyler Algier for BYU is going to be a guy that kind of provides a little bit of a dynamic that Virginia may have some problems with. This team has won, 4 games in a row. So they've been pretty impressive of late, albeit not against the greatest competition. But they're sitting here at 6-2. They have identical records. I just think that BYU's the better team. I think they're probably a little bit better defensively. And this is just a weird spot for Virginia. This is a weird spot for a team. And that's kind of why, that's why I think Boise State was able to go and win a game on the road at BYU. It's because these elements don't bother a team like that. A team like Virginia, they're not used to going and play at BYU. Now, you can say, well, Carolina Jack Bott, their coach. Well, you know what? He doesn't. He's been the coach there, but he's not out there. He's not one of the ones playing. Virginia's not used to this altitude. They're not used to this stuff. I think BYU gets this win here at home, and I do think they cover that 2.5 points. Virginia, with the quarterback Brennan Armstrong, one of the top passers in the nation. I think he'll be neutralized just a little bit on Saturday night against BYU. I can't wait for this one. It comes on at 10:15 p.m. Eastern over on ESPN2. Tune into that one. This one should be fun to watch. We have UCLA going on the road, taking on Utah. Utah is a 6.5-point favorite against the Bruins. Look for my notes about this one. Don't have any notes on this one. So Utah went out last week, took a loss on the road against Oregon State, was it? And then UCLA has actually, they lost last week against Oregon at home in a game that I had pegged. I thought that UCLA would be able to go out and win that one, but they weren't. This is kind of a key Pac-12 South matchup. You know, whoever wins this game is kind of in the driver's seat there. With Utah, of course, with their win over Arizona State, if they can get this win, which I think they will, they are going to be in the driver's seat there in the Pac-12 South. Going ahead, give me Utah to cover the number here. Defensively, I think they'll do just enough to cover the number here. And they've been playing pretty well of late. Had a little bit of a bump up on the road last week. I still think that they've got what it takes to take care of UCLA. They're a much better team playing at home than what they are on the road. We've got Fresno State taking on San Diego State. San Diego State is laying 1 at home. They are undefeated at 7-0 against the 6-2 Fresno State team, which one of those losses was the close, 31-24 loss to Oregon on the road. And then there was kind of an outlier there. They got upset on the road at Hawaii. San Diego State's ranked number 21 in the country. This is just the ultimate clash of styles here. You got power running game with San Diego State. Team plays a lot of hard-nosed defense. I wish their coaches, it's Brady Hoke, right? Isn't that the guy that was at Michigan one time that they ran off? He's looking pretty good out here at San Diego State. Must have found his calling. Let's see here. 207 yards a game passing given up by San Diego State versus Fresno State, who puts up 341 yards a game passing. In the end here, I just think Fresno State. I just when I see these kind of matchups, and I see this great a team with a really prolific, great offense against the stone cold defense here. It used to be that defense to me would always win out. We're in the age of offense right now. I just think they're going to have just a little bit too much here. With 2 losses already on the year, I think Fresno State realizes they have to get this win here. And once again, at 7-0, San Diego State, yes, a good team, but I mean, not a great team, not an outstanding team. And I think they take their first loss here as well. I think they, as well as SMU, fall from the ranks of the unbeaten this week. And I think Fresno State gets this win on the road. We got Washington going on the road, taking on Stanford. Stanford's a 2.5-point favorite at home. Stanford's lost 2 in a row. Washington with that come from behind 21-16 win on the road at Arizona. Stanford's off a bye week. They kind of get this game at home. Washington's has been really disappointing this year, and I really just don't think they're very good. Quite frankly, I just think that Arizona is just that bad, but they were able to be up on them by 11 points at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and just kind of, they were able to just kind of, just overpower them a little bit. But I don't think that Washington really offers any kind of dynamic to really push anybody very far there. That coach up there, I think he might be on borrowed time as well, because they're sitting here at 3-4 right now. They're going to be 3-5 after this game, and I question what's going on with Washington. Y'all can sit there all you want to and tell me, well, they made the Pac-12 championship game last year. Yeah, they had to, because the other team had too many players with the hoochie coochie, hooba-dooby, the Scooby-Dooby virus. So go on ahead and give me Stanford right here to cover that 2.5 points against Washington. I think they get the win there at home. Just quality wins, too. I think Stanford just had, Stanford's got a quality win against UCLA. I just think they're a better team. And it's not UCLA, it was Oregon, I'm sorry. Charlotte. I picked this game. This is actually like a 3:30 game, I believe. Charlotte on the road at Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky laying 17.5 at home. I needed to get to 40 games, so I went back and put this one in. We saw Charlotte play FAU last Thursday night, I believe it was. It was Thursday or Friday. Mind blown right now. I can't remember. I think it was Thursday night. They actually lost 38-9 at home, and I was watching that one intently because I had taken Charlotte to cover the spread in that one. That they gave up some explosive plays to Florida Atlantic. Really just didn't play that well, and I just noticed, that I just think they're still not there yet. They're just not there as far as competitiveness with the better teams there in Conference USA. And as I mentioned before, Bailey Zapp of Western Kentucky is putting up about 450 yards a game passing. And defensively, they play some pretty good defense too. I think Charlotte and Chris Reynolds will be able to put some points up on the scoreboard here as well. So the over-under in this game is, I don't know. I don't know what the over-under in the game is. It's actually 72.5. That is probably right about, I don't know. I don't know if I would play over with that or not. I think that's probably right about where that needs to be. But I think Charlotte's going to get theirs, but I think Western Kentucky is just going to have a little bit too much for them here. So I do think the Hilltoppers will get the cover and the win against Charlotte on Saturday afternoon up in Bowling Green, Kentucky. All right, guys, those are the picks against the spread for week number 9 of the college football season. If you enjoyed this video, please hit it with a thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section below. And subscribe to the Carolina Jackpot channel if you're not subscribed already. I will see you guys later. Appreciate it. Peace, and I am out.